why don't we get to a movie that I think I saw you describe it as a major achievement in filmmaking. Is that right?
Yeah, I said it was Saving Private Ryan for space movies.
Yes.
Which
That's a big
takes
take, Dave.
Yeah.
Tell me about First Man. You know, to call it the Saving Private Ryan of space movies is high praise. What makes you feel that way about this movie?
Yeah. Well, I think the movie is so visceral and so physical in its portrayal of space travel, and also getting inside the heads of people doing said space travel, astronauts. That it reminds me a lot of what everyone felt in '99 when Saving Private Ryan came out. Like, wow, this is like that's how you depict war on screen, right? I feel like this is the same way you depict space travel on scene. I think it's the best non-science fiction space movie. Obviously that's not as big a list as sci-fi movies, but I mean, going up against like Apollo 13 and The Right Stuff and Gravity, I think this is the best one of the bunch. And I think just the way it tells the story is freaking incredible. And like, then on the other hand, there's all these fucking money shots of space travel without the characters, which is like aesthetically like 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like there were so many moments when I was just like, fuck. And I'm a big space person. Obviously, everyone doesn't love Star Wars, so it's like, yeah, I'm coming in hoping to like it, but I was pretty blown away.
Yeah, what this movie does well, and obviously this is Damien Chazelle's, was this his fourth movie?
Fourth movie. Really, no one saw his '09 movie, which was an indie release.
Yeah, but I mean, the director of Whiplash, La La Land, he's telling the story of Neil Armstrong and his like own personal journey and how it kind of ties in with the first lunar landing and just his whole experience with this. I think it tells space travel in a much grittier way, which I think I appreciate, and it kind of brings the realities of what these people were actually going through and like the danger of this to the surface, which I think kind of gets lost a lot of times in the shuffle. You know, you think about like Kennedy's whole speech about like being the first person to go to the moon, like the importance of the space race, and then it's kind of like, oh, we went to the moon. Like people don't talk about that really, like in between part. Right. But I think what I admire most about this movie is how I'm left with different feelings at different parts that he definitely like. It's almost kind of like A Star is Born, how we kind of called him manipulative. And I wouldn't say that this movie is as manipulative as that. You don't have a dog eating a steak before a guy kills himself to just like elicit all these like feelings. But you do have these like smaller moments that really evoke emotion really well. Like whether it's when Neil is like trying to leave the party and Jan is like, well, I got, or not the party, the funeral. And he's like, I gotta go. And he just kind of like leaves. And then his friend goes to talk to him and he's like, you think I'd be sitting in my backyard if I want to talk to somebody right now? Like go away, basically. Like it's just a really well done scene that I'm kind of left just feeling like how heavy Neil is in that moment. Or even when he's on the moon and he like finally pulls out Karen's bracelet and he's just kind of looking at it and you're just like, wow, like it drives home all these emotional moments in such subtle ways. I think it's really, really impressive. And Chazelle is just like a master with not only framing and using the camera, but also getting his actors to give these subtle performances, but that still evoke such a reaction. It's really impressive. However, and this is where the however comes in, I think where I was left with this movie was it's a good movie I'm probably never going to seek out again. And I think my main gripe with it is Neil Armstrong felt like such an inaccessible character in a lot of ways. You know, he's grieving basically from like the third minute of the movie on. You know, Karen passes away relatively early, and from then on, other than that one moment where him and Jan are dancing in their living room, you don't really see that many fun, intimate moments with them. And for me, that makes it really hard to kind of buy into him as a character, because I don't really buy a lot of. I think it's hard for me to kind of relate to like his emotional state throughout. He's just very sad, very within himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think Gosling does that well, and it's a testament to his acting how well he does do with it. But it just makes it a movie that I don't know if I'd want to rewatch per se.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's not pulpy,
Hmm.
Like it's the opposite of that. It's not crowd pleasing.
Yeah,
That it's non-traditional. I think that probably contributed to the tepid box office. It's because again, reviews are overwhelmingly positive, but even those reviews are saying that this is not Apollo 13. You
right.
know, that's kind of what you're looking for. We're not going to get that.
Mhm.
And yeah, I think more people from this point forward will still rewatch Apollo 13 more than they'll watch this. Sure,
Yeah,
that's fair. I mean, fuck, the very first scene, he's in that X-15 in like the lower atmosphere, right? And it's so claustrophobic and so loud
uh, yeah,
and tense and jittery. And then like he starts bouncing off the atmosphere. Like I had no idea that Neil Armstrong almost died like 3 other times before he went to the moon. You know, it's like when he's testing the lunar module thing and he has to pull the chute and like he fucks up his face. Like I did not realize there were all these close calls. I didn't do enough reading on the Gemini program and stuff leading up to Apollo missions. But um, that I think what really blew my mind was this is a story that I know how it ends. It's a
Mhm.
nonfiction tale, right? But the movie built up and held tension multiple times so well.
Yeah.
Like,
It's kind
when
of
you
like Better Call Saul in that way.
sure, yeah, and I just found it really impressive. And I mean, the cast mentioned Gosling. I think Gosling again, it's an inaccessible performance. It's tough to relate to because he's a man of few words in the
Yeah,
film, and again, it's a good performance. I think Claire Foy is almost like the audience avatar as his wife. You
yeah,
know, he's much more emotional and kind of saying the things that you would expect someone to be saying in the way he was acting, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, the rest of the cast is stacked. You have so much talent that's barely used, right? Like Jason Clark,
Yep.
the heater for like 2 years now. He has a lot of good work as Ed. Kyle Chandler has some moments. Kieran Hines is there, fucking
Corey
Shane.
Stoll.
Yep, Corey Stoll is a fucking douche as Buzz Aldrin. Um,
Yeah, which I mean, Buzz Aldrin, man. Like you can't be watching this movie feeling very good about how he's portrayed.
yeah, it's I didn't really know much about the temperament of either man going
Yeah.
in, so that was interesting to hear. It's funny because obviously with the bogus flag controversy that came up before this movie, which probably contributed to the box office at least a little bit, right? Um,
Such a ridiculous narrative, but
I
go
know.
on.
But since like Richard Brody at the New Yorker, for example, like there are people, and there's a Daily Beast review too, like, oh, this movie is actually super
Yeah.
pro America, super like this is a right wingers movie. And it's like again, like I don't think the movie is political really at all. That was
No.
clearly Gazelle's intent. Like he gave his reasoning for not showing the actual planting of the flag. He just shows a shot of the flag already planted, right?
Right.
And again, he was not interested in that. Like he could have told the story playing into the space race more. But this is a movie based off of a biography about Neil, movie about Neil being in Neil's head.
Mhm.
Like you said, sometimes it isn't very fun,
Yeah.
once you understand what it was like to be Neil Armstrong.
Mhm.
But I found the film fucking really effective, and I was a huge fan. So it's I have it in my top 5 right now for the year.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what does your top five look like? Because I was wondering if this was going to be top five, top 10, top 15. I knew it was up there.
Yeah, I think I have First Reform, Sorry to Bother You, and then First Man right now.
Damn.
Black Klansman and Annihilation, Isle of Dogs, etc.
I'm
So
excited because I think our year end list as we're inching closer. I mean, it's middle of October, dude. Like,
I've already seen more movies in 2018 than I saw from 2017.
shout out Movie Pass before he passed away.
A list.
Um,
Oh, I saw First Man in IMAX 2D. Thanks to
ooh,
the list, and not every scene was shot in IMAX, but all the space scenes were in IMAX, and it was great because that's a fucking like 3-story screen, great sound. So that probably helped my viewing experience.
yeah,
Cool touch about this movie was uh, obviously they didn't go to the moon to film this; they weren't on location, right? Whenever like the actors would see like
They would see like
Earth, it wasn't
yeah,
a green screen. They actually had LED screens of
yeah.
it was much more immersive for the actors. I think that's a really seemingly simple idea, but probably goes a long way in helping the actors. So that was a cool thing to learn.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, Chazelle, just at this point, if he's making a movie and you care about the art of movie making, I think you have to watch. He's the youngest Best Director winner for La La Land, and in thinking about all the movies from the last like 5 years, Whiplash might be my favorite movie. And I'm thinking about it, like so many of the scenes in it just like run through my mind when I think about what it means to like watch a movie, like practicing, putting the
My tempo.
what?
Is it not quite my tempo?
um, but I mean, Chazelle's just a masterclass, and even when I think the movie isn't necessarily rewatchable, it's still there to appreciate. So I'm interested to see what he does next. I saw online an interesting through line through his movies seems to be sacrifice. That in order to like really achieve greatness in these things, you need to sacrifice pretty much everything to achieve it. So I'm wondering what the next story will be related to that. But yeah, First Man, I think we both really liked it. You definitely liked it more than me, but um, overall, I think you have to see it if you care about movies at all.
Yeah, again, like hammer it home. Damien Chazelle is 33 years old. This is his third major feature film release. Whiplash,
Absurd.
5 Oscar nominations. La La Land, 14. I think First Man will get a bunch of technical nominations, and he'll probably get nominated for director. It probably will get Best Picture. Then Gosling or Foy, probably. But I don't expect it to get any wins because, again, it probably won't just pick up enough steam,
Yeah.
you know, with the tepid box office. But it's going to be deserving of all those nominations regardless. And this is actually the first movie that he didn't write, just directed. It was written by Josh Singer, who
Mm-hmm.
The Post and Spotlight. So if you're going to pass it off to someone, sounds like that's a great guy to pick. But yeah, I think it's funny. He's attached to some TV shows. I think one of them actually one of the Apple shows. Again, I asked a million shows, but the idea of him doing TV right now just seems like so wasteful. It's like you have him and Chazelle and Ryan Coogler are two great young American filmmakers. Make films.
Yeah. Well, Coogler just signed up for Black Panther too, which is exciting. I'm glad that.
I missed
Yeah.
that.
So I'm excited to see what he'll do with the second installment of that. Yeah, man. And also, I mean, just Chazelle is, I mean, so just like thinking about him as a director, I feel like he tells stories I would never expect. And, we were texting a little bit about how this is his most, I don't know, conventional film he's made, but still, like so many scenes were shot so unconventionally. Like when he's in was it like the test thing in the beginning, and it's like spinning him around, and just like watching Gosling be thrown around in this, or even when he's on that like landing craft, like that simulator, and he almost crashes, like following him, and then like being like thrown up quickly and then like shot back down. It's so visceral. Yeah, he does things other directors just can't do. So, or don't do to this point yet. So definitely excited to see where he goes. And I mean, we're going to be talking about him for the next 50 years of our lives, probably.